Warning. The voiceover and editing of the video you are about to watch are extremely bad. For your own good, do not watch it.
I already made reviews for the first and second games, but since most of the viewers of the video you are seeing from United States, so I decided to create content in English. I'll promise I will do something about the first two reviews someday, but that's not important. We are here for Devil May Cry 3. While making the video for Devil May Cry 2, I was so bored I could barely stand it. I just wanted to get it over with. I even considered making a video about one or two indie games before starting the video for the third game. I browsed through my Steam library, but I couldn't find anything that caught my interest. So I went ahead and started playing the third game. At first I thought I would just play 2 or 3 missions, get some footage and call it a day. But I was wrong. I finished the game in 2 sessions. While watching the opening cutscene that tells Sparta's story, the moment I saw Virgil, I was stunned. By the time the opening cutscene ended and I watched the cutscene for the first mission, I was reminded why I love Devil May Cry. The absurd cutscenes and the music that revives the dead. Yes, Devil May Cry is a series that stands out for its gameplay, but that's something I will get into another video. Now that we have gotten the personal part out of the way, we can talk about the game. Devil May Cry 2 is suck. When Devil May Cry 2 was released, it disappointed the series fans. The sequel, which was supposed to build upon the first game, instead gave us a dull game, a story lacking in presentation and unremarkable characters. One of the things that annoyed me the most about Devil May Cry 2 was how Dante became silent and lacked charisma. Even though I wasn't a big fan of his personality in the first game, I still liked that he occasionally made fun of the bosses. But Devil May Cry 3 brought Dante to the version of him that I love. His sarcastic personality was highlighted even more. In this game we see a more carefree Dante, someone who's extremely confident and constantly mocks his enemies with an entertaining attitude. And for the gameplay of the second game, after this terrible game, the series' future was in question. However, Devil May Cry 3 not only saved the series, but also solidified its legacy as one of the best action games of its time. There weren't any particularly interesting events during the development, like with the second game, but important people who would be part of the series in the future joined the team in the third game. For instance, Devil May Cry 3, 4 and 5's writer Bingo Moriyashi, Dante's voice actor and motion capture performer Ruben Langdon, and Virgil's voice actor and motion capture performer Daniel Southworth all became involved with the series in this game. Devil May Cry 3 is a prequel to the first 2 games. Dante receives a call from a client at his shop, which doesn't have a name yet, but he says,
"Sorry, not open for business yet."
not exactly a model employee. While eating his pizza, a mysterious person appears, mentioning that Dante is the son of Sparta. This person works for Dante's twin brother Virgil, and brings an invitation from Virgil before flipping the Dante's table. Dante reaches for his weapons, but mysterious man is already gone. Just as Dante is about to dig into his pizza again, a group of demons suddenly appears and attacks Dante. After obliterating the demons, Dante heads outside, where there are even more demons. After killing them, he faces the game's first boss, Hell Vanguard. Hell Vanguard doesn't have any unique features, but it's a good introductory boss to help you learn the dodge and parry mechanics. Later in the game, it also appears as a normal enemy. I like it when early bosses you encounter in the first few hours of a game reappear as a normal enemies later. It's a good way to show how much you have grown as a player. Of course, as long as it's not overdone. At the end of the Hell Vanguard boss fight, a tower called Temenni Guru rises, and Hell Vanguard flees. At the top of the Temenni Guru, we see the mysterious man talking with Virgil. We learn that his name is Arkham, and their goal is to obtain the other half of the perfect amulet, which was left by Dante's mother. The amulet has the power to open the portal to the demon world within the tower when both halves are combined. Hell Vanguard arrives at the top of the tower, but because it failed, Virgil strikes it down with a single blow. This shows us that Virgil is stronger than Dante. Dante accepts Virgil's invitation and his journey begins. Temenni Guru is the sealed gateway to the demon world that's mentioned at the start of every game. The game briefly touches on how Sparta sealed it, and I'll discuss that more later. At the entrance to the tower, Dante encounters the three-headed hellhound Cerberus. In Greek mythology, Cerberus' role is to guard the gates of hell, so the game tells us welcome to hell. After defeating Cerberus, a mysterious woman speeds past Dante on a motorcycle, further igniting his motivation to climb the tower. We see Virgil and Arkham talking again. Virgil is displeased with the presence of a human in the tower. Arkham says he will take care of it and leaves.
A storm is approaching.
Dante solves the tower's puzzles and meets Jester, who helps him navigate the puzzles. Dante eventually reaches his brother Virgil, and the two have an epic battle. Dante loses, and Virgil takes the other half of the perfect amulet and stabs Dante with his sword rebellion. This awakens Dante's devil trigger, but Virgil doesn't seem to care and heads down to the bottom of the tower to open the gate to Demon World. Dante takes a shortcut and jumps off the tower. A giant demon named Leviathan swallows him. After killing Leviathan, Dante meets the mysterious woman again. They argue and Dante gives her the nickname Lady. Before Virgil breaks the seal, he kills Arkham. Afterward, Dante and Lady encounter each other again in front of Arkham's body. This leads to a deep ideological conflict between the two. Dante learns that Lady is Arkham's daughter, which brings her past trauma to the forefront. We also learn Arkham killed his own wife. Because of that, Lady hates his father and demons. This scene highlights the common ground between Dante and Lady. They both must face their familial struggles. Lady believes that her father's death must come by her hand, while Dante is haunted by the losses he suffered in the past. However, by the end of this encounter, Lady starts to warm up to Dante. Perhaps she finds some sort of understanding or empathy him. Dante leaves there, and we learn Arkham isn't actually dead. Arkham tells Mary, which is revealed to be Lady's real name, that his actions were a result of Virgil's manipulation. Lady decides to kill Virgil to take her revenge. As Dante continues his journey to find Virgil, he encounters Beowulf. Beowulf? Beowulf. But he isn't able to defeat him, leading Beowulf to flee. Beowulf is a blind boss who tracks his enemies by scent. He mistakenly identifies Virgil as Dante and attacks him, but this turns out to be his last mistake. Virgil defeats Beowulf and obtains a new weapon, showing that just like Dante, Virgil also grows stronger as the story progresses. Virgil attempts to break the seal using the amulets and Sparta's blood, but fails. Dante eventually reaches Virgil, and the two brothers engage in another fierce battle, only for the Lady to join the battle later. Then Jester comes and reveals himself to be Arkham, unveiling his true plan. He's been manipulating everyone from the beginning to obtain Sparta's power. It's also revealed that Lady's blood is needed to break the seal. To clear up confusions, I have to explain something. 2000 years ago, Sparta performed a complex ritual to seal the demon world. Sparta
confiscated
the names of demons who resemble the 7 deadly sins, then imprisoning the 7 gatekeepers of the tower and sealing Leviathan. It's unclear which bosses exactly represent the gatekeepers, but we will dive deeper into the obvious ones later. Sparta used his own blood and the blood of a priestess to seal the demon world. He also created the perfect amulet, splitting it in two, one half for each of his sons. To break the seal and unlock the Sparta's powers, one would need the perfect amulet, Sparta's blood, and the blood of a priestess descendant. Lady and her mother are descendants of the priestess, and that means Arkham had planned everything from the beginning. Arkham breaks the seal, obtains Sparta's sword, and gains his power. Dante unable to accept someone like Arkham wielding his father's power, so he sets out to stop him. Before reaching Arkham, Dante faces Lady in a boss fight. The dialogue before and after this battle brings Dante's family trauma to the forefront. I think it's wrong to call it the family traumas, but I don't know what should I call it. Despite everything, Lady is determined to continue on her path. However, Dante's compassion toward her changed something inside her. She no longer harbors only anger toward him, but starts to realize that he too suffered familial losses. Dante eventually catches up to Arkham and they engage in a battle. Although Dante struggles to overpower Arkham, Virgil joins the battle and they defeat Arkham together. After defeat, Arkham falls from the demon world. This represents both his literal and metaphorical downfall. Through the story, Arkham manipulates Virgil, Dante, and even his daughter for his own selfish pursuit of Sparta's power. However, when Dante and Virgil unite, Arkham fails, His fall isn't just physical but a representation of his arrogance and greed, led to his ultimate demise. After falling to the human world, Arkham meets his end at the hands of Lady. Meanwhile, in the demon world, Virgil and Dante battle for possession of Sparta's sword. Dante emerges victorious and returns to the human world. While Virgil chooses to remain in the demon world, in extra scene we see Virgil preparing to fight with Mundus, but he loses and becomes Mundus' servant. Now let's talk about Virgil. The reason I didn't talk about him earlier while telling the story is that I wanted sections solely to him. Virgil isn't the main villain of the story. That role belongs to Arkham. Virgil is more of a rival to Dante, and he feels like a true rival to Dante throughout the game. Every time Virgil appears, he steals the spotlight. Dante and Virgil are half human, half demon, but while Dante embraces his human side, Virgil rejects it and seeks to become more like his father Sparta. Dante values humanity, but Virgil prioritizes power and control above all. This divide turns their battle into more than just physical confrontations. We can see Virgil's rivalry also in gameplay. Like Dante, Virgil grows stronger as the story progresses, obtaining a new weapon from Beowulf. From a mechanical balance perspective, Virgil offers players exciting boss battles. He is a skilled swordsman like Dante, and he can also attack from a distance, but his fighting style is faster and more focused than Dante's. So that's the story. An engaging story, well-written characters, and an unforgettable rival. In my opinion, Devil May Cry 3 offers the best story in the entire series. Third game's atmosphere is really great, but not as good as the first game. But it still holds its own. The atmosphere is brimming with chaos. Temenigru Tower blends a sense of ancient mysticism and with otherworldly menace, crafting an environment that feels unholy. As for the level design, most of the game takes place in the Temenigru. Each level involves exploring different parts of the tower and solving various puzzles. Toward the end of the game, you revisit some previously explored areas, but it doesn't feel like a major issue. Hidden missions are scattered through the levels, and unlike Devil May Cry 2, they are not just fighting in the closed-off arenas. The music in the game not only matched the fast-paced combat, but also blended perfectly with the atmosphere. Devil's Never Cry is a track that I still listen to today. Devil May Cry series has always been defined by its combat mechanics, and Devil May Cry 3 elevated the genre with its groundbreaking style system. This feature added unprecedented depth and fluidity to the action by letting players choose between 6 distinct combat styles. Each style offers a unique approach to the combat, allowing players to customize their gameplay experience to match their preferred playstyle. Trickster focuses on mobility and evasive maneuvers, perfect for avoiding damage and staying agile in battle. Swordmaster enhances melee combat by adding powerful new moves for each weapon, ideal for players who enjoy flashy up-close combat. Gunslinger improves range attacks, giving each firearm unique abilities to juggle enemies or deal massive damage from a distance. Royal Guard is a style that rewards precise timing, allowing players to block and counter enemy attacks with devastating power, and also it can use for cancelling Dante's animations. Quicksilver lets Dante stop time around him. Doppelganger enables Dante to summon a shadow clone that mirrors his attacks. Most styles, excluding Quicksilver and Doppelganger, level up as you use them, starting at level 1. They can be upgraded to level 3, unlocking more advanced moves and abilities. In the original release and special edition, styles could only be selected at the beginning of the mission or at divinity statues. However, in the Nintendo Switch version, players could switch styles on the fly, this dramatically increasing combat flexibility and allowing for more dynamic creative gameplay. The style system is one of the most defining features of Devil May Cry 3, offering a level of personalization and mastery that sets the game apart. Whether you focus on mobility, ranged or closed attacks, there is a style to suit your playstyle. Melee weapons offers a wide range of variety. You unlock new weapons after defeating bosses. Dante's iconic sword Rebellion, the Nunchaku Cerberus, the twin swords Agni and Rudra, Guitar Nevan, and the gauntlets Beowulf. I mostly use Rebellion, Agni and Rudra, and Beowulf. Each of these weapons has a distinct purpose and playstyle. For instance, Beowulf is more effective against bosses because of its high damage and chargeable moves. Agni and Rudra have a wide attack range, making them ideal for regular encounters. Each weapon comes with 3 or 4 base moves, and you can buy new abilities from the shop. When you combine them with Swordmaster, you get a game with incredibly solid mechanics. Moreover, each weapon has unique abilities in Devil Trigger form. For example, Cerberus has the highest running speed, and you can fly with Nevan. There are 9 different demon types in the game. 9 might seem like a small number, but there are subcategories within them. For example, there are 7 hells, each presenting one of the 7 deadly sins. Some of them feel like entirely different enemies. My favorite demon type is Damned Chessmen. These are chess pieces and there are 6 different kinds. In Mission 18 you fight them on a chessboard. Whoever designed these enemies must love chess. In this fight, if the pawns reach the other side of the board, they turn into other pieces. If the rooks are still alive when you hit the king swaps places with the rooks. As for the Soul Eaters and the Fallen, they are simply put a nightmare. To kill Soul Eaters, you have to turn your back to them to make them vulnerable. The Fallen can face through walls, which is just frustrating. The developers must have known how annoying these enemies were, so most of the fights includes these enemies can be skipped. When it comes to bosses, it's safe to say that some of the most iconic ones in the series are found in the third game. The game features 12 bosses in total. You don't get a new weapon or ability from this boss, but it's great for learning dodge mechanics and it shows up once or twice later in the game. No matter how many times I play this game, this is one boss I never been able to beat in one try. I believe he's one of the guardians of the 7 gates that I mentioned in the story section. This is a bad designed boss. It barely has any proper attacks and if you don't have Swordmaster, fighting this boss is a pain. I also think this boss is one of the 7 gatekeepers. In his Jester form, we fight Arkham 3 times, but aside from the first encounter, the rest are optional. It's a good way to mix up the game's tempo. In the 19th mission, there is another fight against Arkham, but don't worry, it is not his in Jester form. After Arkham gains Sparta's power, he transforms into something bizarre, and the battle begins. His movements are tough to read. Once his health drops to half, Virgil joins the fight, and you can control both characters at the same time, though you can't use your Devil Trigger or style, but it's cool to control both characters. If I recall correctly, in PlayStation 2 version, you could plug in a second controller and you can play co-op during this part. After defeating Arkham, you get the Asylum achievement. This is a 2v1 boss fight, which makes it stand out from other battles. I think these two are also among the guardians of the 7 gates. Some bosses have weakness to certain weapons. For example, Agni is weak to Cerberus. The boss that comes before Agni and Ruder is Cerberus. In other words, it's a good boss to learn that certain bosses or enemies are weak against specific weapons. This boss doesn't resemble a traditional Devil May Cry boss. You take out one head and then attack the main head in the middle. I think calling this thing head is wrong. Let's call them internal organs.
I'm gonna cast a spell on
Nevin's design is one of my favorites in the game. She is also one of the gatekeepers. Once you figure out her mechanics, she is a fun boss. I think we can describe this boss fight as a dance. You have to dance with her. This don't make sense. Beowulf is one of the most iconic bosses in the series, and despite playing the game multiple times, I still find him challenging. This is one of my top 3 beating this boss. Fighting against a horse is a neat concept, but sometimes the boss runs around the arena too much. Up until now we have only fought demons, but Lady is a human, and you can feel it in the battle. She runs away, pauses to reload and hides. This is the first time you really feel your dominance. You unlock the doppelganger style after this boss. Once you understand the mechanics, this boss is very easy. I've already talked about Virgil a lot, but I could keep going because he's my favorite character in gaming. The best boss fights in the Devil May Cry series are with the Virgil in Devil May Cry 3. The game tests everything the player has learned, and the build up to these fights is excellent through the story. The game's difficulty is well balanced. You can die easily in normal fights if you aren't paying attention, and the boss fights test what the player has learned, but they don't feel unfair. Most bosses can be beaten after 2 or 3 attempts. Also, at the start of the game you choose between gold and yellow modes. In gold mode, if you die and have a gold orb, you can revive and continue from where you died. If you don't have one, you restart the fight. In yellow mode, you go back to the start the mission if you die without the gold orb. If you have a gold orb, instead of restarting the mission, you restart the fight. In special edition of the game, you unlock Virgil as a playable character after completing Dante's story. He doesn't have his own missions, so you play through the Dante's mission. Virgil only has 3 weapons, and they are all equipped at the same time. He also only has one style. Forsage is a very similar to Rebellion. Yamato has all the same moves as Virgil in his boss fights. Beowulf has a different moves from Dante's version, and you can't charge the Beowulf's attacks. The Darkslayer style is essentially an upgraded version of the Trickster. Devil May Cry 3 not only saved the series but also laid a solid foundation for the future games. Its influence is clearly visible in the Devil May Cry 4 and Devil May Cry 5 as they build upon the combat system and character dynamics introduced here. For me, Devil May Cry 3 is the pinnacle of the series. It took the best aspects of the franchise and learned from the mistakes of the second game to create an action masterpiece. The epic rivalry between Dante and Virgil, combined with their deep family connection, adds a unique depth to the story. The music, atmosphere, and combat mechanics show that this game was ahead of its time. If Devil May Cry 3 hadn't come out, the series might be dead, but instead it regained fan passion and solidified the series as one of the top names in the action genre. While writing this review, the first trailer of Devil May Cry Netflix anime dropped. If I recall, they announced this anime back in 2018, but after doing some research and watching the trailer, I realized that anime is probably going to be suck. Adi Shankar, the producer of the Castlevania anime, which I couldn't finish because it sucks. Maybe I will make another video about it. The studio behind the anime is Studio Mir. I don't know what to say about them. I love some of their works and the others are really bad. As for voice actors, the only one confirmed so far is John Young Bosch, who voices Nero in the 4th game, but he is voicing Dante in the anime. It seems like the anime will take place before the events of Devil May Cry 3, because one of the characters in the trailer resembles someone from the prequel manga. If they end up directly adapting the manga, I won't complain too much. While I don't proud of my work, my voice is really dead. And probably my edit is going to be shit. But if you enjoyed the review, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you notice any mistakes or areas for improvement in the video, please share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.